Hey everybody, here's a tutorial to review what we went over in class this week. I added some graphics to make it a bit more fun. I've got a hero graphic here, so I'm going to add a new actor, call him my hero or her, drag the graphic up in there, put my hero on the stage. I'm going to give my hero some behaviors. Key rule, I'll use the right arrow key to rotate clockwise, Command C to copy, Command V to paste. I will use the left arrow to rotate counterclockwise, and that works. I want my hero to be able to fire a projectile, so I have in images a bullet graphic. I'll resize that bullet to, say, 10 by 10 pixels. I'll color it red, and I'll give it a single behavior, which is to move to the right at a speed of 100. And give a new behavior to my hero, a new rule, that when I hit the space bar, this hero spawns a new actor called bullet. So each time the space bar is hit, the bullet will be spawned, and since the bullet has a behavior of movement built into it, it will begin moving as soon as it is created, as soon as it comes into existence. I don't like where the bullet's coming out, so I'm going to adjust that a little bit. Say 10 pixels to the right of center and 10 pixels below center. Oh, below center would be negative. A little bit further, I'll make it 20 pixels to the right of center and 15 pixels below center, so that the bullet comes right out of the mouth. Just one more pixel down, and I think it'll be perfectly coming out of the mouth. Great. And as I rotate, it continues to come out of the mouth because this position is relative to the actor. So now I have my hero who can shoot some projectiles. One thing that we didn't talk about in class, or we talked about only at the very end of class, is projectiles like this need to have a lifespan. They need to go away, otherwise the computer is tracking them off into infinity forever. So let's just say, with a timer, we'll say after 1 second, destroy. So bullets only have a life of 1 second. That's not long enough to get off the screen, so let's give them a life of 2 seconds. Still not long enough to get off the screen, so let's give them a life of 5 seconds. So now no bullet will live past 5 seconds, so the computer doesn't have to continue tracking it. Timer after 5 seconds, destroy this actor. Now it has time to get off of the screen, and then it's destroyed almost instantly thereafter. So let's create some opponents. Go back into images. There's an evil looking creature. But instead of putting our creature onto the stage, I am going to create a new actor that's called Game Functions. And Game Functions is going to do the work of spawning. I haven't changed its name yet. We'll call it Villain. It's going to do, Game Functions will do the work of spawning Villain. Where is it going to spawn the villain? Well, let's spawn the villain at the right edge of the screen. The right edge of the screen is the devices, screens, size, width, and we can spawn it at a random location somewhere between the top and the bottom of the screen. So we'll insert the function random from minimum to maximum. So somewhere between 0, the bottom of the screen, and devices, screen, size, height, which is the top of the screen. So when the villain is created, the villain will be created somewhere between the top and bottom of the screen. Importantly, this needs to be relative to the scene, because we don't want it to depend on where our game functions actor is placed. We'll place our game functions actor onto the screen, but onto the scene, but off of the edge so we don't see it. We'll give our villain a accelerate behavior, and our villain is created, moving towards the hero. I'm going to give this villain some color. Done. And notice that each time the game is started, the villain shows up in a different spot because of the randomization. Let's look at that randomization in game functions one more time. We're spawning the actor. What actor? Villain. Where? At the right edge of the screen, game, screen size, width, and at a random location between the bottom of the screen, 0, and the top of the screen, game, screen size, height. This is relative to the scene. So if we want to spawn multiple villains, we can simply highlight, Command-C to copy, Command-V to paste, and now when we preview the game, 3 villains will be spawned at random locations. We can see that 2 of them are at almost the same location. Try it again. Now there's 3 at 3 random locations. Also, what we can do is put our spawning on a timer. We can use a timer to say every 2 seconds spawn another actor at a random location. And after 2 seconds, another one comes. And after 2 seconds, another one. And after 2 seconds, another one. And after 2 seconds, another one. And we can, of course, shoot at them. But right now our bullets don't do anything. So let's make the bullets effectual. We're still looking inside our game functions. Let's go back and look inside our villain, create a new rule, and say when I overlap or collide with a bullet, I am destroyed. And similarly, in our bullet, when our bullet overlaps or collides with a villain, the bullet is also destroyed. And so now our bullets should be able to destroy villains, and indeed they can. We're not getting any points for this, so we need to create a score for the game. Our score is an attribute at the game level. We add it with the plus button. It is an integer, and we call it score. And to have the score go up, either our bullet can do that job or our villain can do that job. Let's have the villain do it. And when the villain overlaps or collides with a bullet, but before it's destroyed, we're going to change an attribute. The attribute we're going to change is game score. And we're going to change it to, and this is very important, we're not going to change it to 1, and we're not going to change it to +1. We're going to change it to game score +1. So what this means in computer speak is the new score equals the old score +1. So if the score was 5, then the new score equals 5 + 1, or the new score is 6. So the score goes up every time we destroy an actor. But we're not displaying the score yet. So we can do that with our game functions actor. One of the other things the game functions can do is display text. What text do we want to display? We want to display the game score. Where do we want to display it? At the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, maybe 20 pixels from the left edge and 20 pixels from the bottom, relative to the scene, not relative to the actor. And we'll display it in gray text. And we have our score down there. And as we destroy creatures, the score goes up. Very nice. But what happens if our villains catch our hero? Well, if the villain overlaps or collides with the hero, then the villain is destroyed. If the hero overlaps or collides with the villain, the hero is also destroyed. But we also want the game to end. So we can make a new actor called Game Over. That actor can display some text. The text it displays can be Game Over. We'll display this in red. And where should we display it? Why don't we put it in the center of the screen? How do we find the center of the screen? The center of the screen is always devices, screen, size, width divided by 2. The width of the screen divided by 2, or halfway across the screen. And devices, screen, size, height divided by 2, or halfway up the screen. And the only other thing we should do with this particular actor is change his color to black. So that we should be able to shoot bullets, destroy monsters. But if we happen to get hit by a monster, it's game over. But what happened to our game over text? Let's see. We haven't spawned the game over actor. So we go back into our hero, and right here, right when we collide with the villain, but before we're destroyed, we need to spawn a new actor. Which actor? We need to spawn Game Over. And let me just check one other thing in our Game Over actor. We want to position in the center of the screen relative to the scene, not relative to the actor. Yes. Now let's see if it works. That villain is not going to get me, and that villain is not going to get me, but I'll let this villain get me, and game over. Why is it rotated? That's interesting. The game over direction is relative to actor. Make that 0 relative to scene, and now when we're destroyed, our game over is centered and not rotated.